Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. My name is Kevin Rigby, and I'm honored to be the Master of Ceremonies of the 2021 Alliance for Aging Research Heroes in Health, an event to celebrate meaning, love, and healthy aging. This year marks the Alliance's 35th anniversary. Isn't that incredible? Now, I know we are virtual, and I wish we all could do this in person, but let's still make this an outstanding event anyway. So please raise a glass of whatever you may be drinking, wherever you are, to join me in toasting the Alliance team, board of directors, and 3.5 decades working to accelerate advances in healthy aging. Cheers to the good people of the Alliance for Aging Research and to healthy aging for all of us. That was great. Although the Alliance has been around for 35 years, they have hosted their annual Bipartisan Congressional Award celebration for 28 years to recognize heroes in health, those who have gone above and beyond in their commitment to advancing science, public policy, and education for healthy aging, and who encourage all of us to support each other as we age. But before we kick off another exciting event, I want to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon. I know we're all too familiar with Zoom fatigue over the past year and a half, so we want to thank you for Zooming past this to celebrate this year's Heroes in Health, who've done so much for older friends and family members. You will learn more about these awards and the incredible talented honorees soon, but first, I'm very pleased to report that with all your help, the Alliance has had a record fundraising for Heroes in Health celebration. So how much did we raise? How much? You're not going to believe this, over $500,000. So give yourselves a big round of applause. That's simply outstanding. We know that there are a lot of incredible causes, and you're pulled in a million directions. So it means the world to us to have you join us today and to have given such generous support to the Alliance's mission. Now we're pleased to share a glimpse of what your contributions have helped the Alliance accomplish in the past year.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Scott. On behalf of the Alliance's Board of Directors, it's my pleasure to welcome you here today to celebrate our 2021 Heroes in Health. Please join me in congratulating this year's award recipients. Their tenacity, vision, and sheer courage in accomplishing so much are inspirations in every facet of our work. We are honored to consider them partners in helping people live longer, happier, and more vibrant lives. Today's celebration would not be possible without the hard work and commitment of our event planning committee. Their enthusiasm and creativity are reflected in what you will see today. Thank you to the 2021 event committee members for giving us their time, ideas, and support. Thank you also to my colleagues on the Alliance's Board of Directors. I look forward to the day when we can once again celebrate in person, and I can ask you to stand and be recognized. But instead, I will share their pictures here. Each board member has made significant contributions to helping the Alliance with its mission. They are equally invested in supporting research into care and treatments that support long-lasting, healthy, and rewarding lives, and then ensuring that older adults can actually access those advancements. It is my pleasure to announce our newest board member, Dr. John White, who serves as Chief Medical Officer of WebMD. Dr. White has been a leading voice in addressing the COVID pandemic, and his near-daily WebMD video series, Coronavirus in Context with John White, led PR Week to name John one of the top 20 health influencers in 2020. Before WebMD, Dr. White served in senior leadership roles at the FDA, Discovery Channel, and CMS. John is a board-certified internist who continues to see patients, and he has written 2 best-selling books, including Is This Normal? The Essential Guide to Middle Age and Beyond, which we all need on our nightstands. We are thrilled and honored that John is joining us, and you will see him later in the program today. The last 18 months have confronted us with challenges that have revealed critical needs in our society. Since the start of the pandemic, people have been exposed to an abundance of health disinformation about the coronavirus, COVID vaccines, and COVID therapeutics, which has caused massive confusion and fear. The online spinning of disinformation has led people to decline vaccines, reject masking, and other health and safety measures. The Alliance will continue to call on social media CEOs to remove the accounts of prominent anti-vaxxers. The leaders of these social media platforms are in unique positions of power and influence over the flow of social communication, and they simply must do more. Lives are depending on it. Public perception of political influence in scientific decision-making also causes confusion and distrust. We call on the White House and federal health agency leaders at HHS, NIH, the FDA, the CDC, and CMS to stand together in consensus with messaging that is guided by evidence and integrity. In the last several years, we seem to have lost the ability to build and maintain consensus. We are reminded of this loss in late July when retired U.S. Senator Mike Enzi, a Wyoming Republican known as a consensus builder in an increasingly polarized Washington, died after a tragic fall. Senator Enzi was known for emphasizing compromise over grandstanding to get bills passed. His 80-20 rule called on colleagues to focus on the 80% of an issue where legislators tended to agree, rather than on the 20% where they didn't. As with any politician, there were stances and bills with which the Alliance parted ways with the senator. However, there is value in the effort to find common ground, and his work so often embodied that. As Senator Enzi wisely said in his farewell address to the Senate in 2020, there is a lot of vitriol in our politics and our world right now, but you can stay true to what you believe in without treating others badly. Nothing gets done when we're just telling each other how wrong we are. The Alliance for Aging Research is grateful to our partners in industry who so quickly delivered COVID-19 personal protective equipment, tests, treatment, and vaccines. We applaud our research partners and our civil servant partners in federal health and regulatory agencies that made sure COVID medical products were safe and effective for use, as well as covered and reimbursed. And we thank the clinical care and long-term care workers who continue to put themselves at risk to treat and care for others. You have kept your eyes on the ball and rose above the noise, and you're all heroes to us. I'm proud to chair an organization that stands for science and integrity on behalf of America's older adults. Your generous contributions have allowed Sue and her team to be out front over the past year on the importance of COVID vaccines, mask wearing, and other initiatives highlighted earlier in today's program. Your being with us today is a great support for all the work that we do, and all the work that you do every day to ensure the experience of healthy aging in this country is one of progress, dignity, and positivity. Thank you. Congratulations to the honorees, and to Sue and the entire Alliance team for such an extraordinary event and year. It is now my pleasure to introduce Sue Peshin, President and CEO of the Alliance for Aging Research.
Thanks, Jim, and hi, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Heroes in Health, an event to celebrate meaning, love, and healthy aging. Thank you for joining us again virtually this year. I miss seeing you in person, and I look forward to the day when we'll gather again. As usual, I have an important list of thank yous, so please stay with me while I acknowledge everyone. First, I don't know about you, but I can't help smiling when I see Kevin Rigby. He really is our host with the most, and we could not imagine doing this without him. I hope you enjoyed watching our annual sizzle reel earlier in the program, which features the important work of my Alliance colleagues. Many thanks to my colleagues for their incredible contributions to helping us all live longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. Thanks to Janelle Germanos on our team and Berman and Company for putting the sizzle reel together. Thanks to Jim Scott for being a positive and motivating force to us as our board chair and event chair, and thank you to our Heroes in Health Committee for their thoughtful input on awardees and ideas to enhance our second virtual experience. Our board of directors supports us in our mission in countless ways and serves as our guiding light. On behalf of the staff, we truly appreciate your extra encouragement last year and this year, as well as our shared commitment to social justice by promoting healthy aging for all. The event would simply not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. Our media sponsor, Berman and Company, whose creative and kind people always do a fantastic job on this event and others for us, as well as helping us create educational content, get our voices out to the media, and engage in other rabble-rousing. Special hat tip to Jamie Bowers. Our 35th anniversary award underwriters include the Claude Pepper Foundation, who sponsors the Claude Pepper Award for Advancing Healthy Aging, Eli Lilly for the Distinguished Public Service Award, and AdvaMed, supporter of the Silver Innovator Award. Our gold sponsor, GlaxoSmithKline. Our silver sponsors include Acadia Biogen and BMS. Our bronze sponsors are AbbVie, Bright Focus Foundation, Edwards Life Sciences, Gilead, Lundbeck, Novartis, PWR, and USP. Additionally, we thank our fabulous FDA and CMS roundtable sponsors, Abbott, Johnson & Johnson, Otsuka, and United Health Group. Our roundtable supporters, Applied Policy, Bio, Merck, Omnicom, and Pharma, and our roundtable innovators, Better Medicare Alliance, BioFitus, Consumer Healthcare Products Association, Cytokinetics, HealthyWomen, King & Spalding, National Pharmaceutical Council, Pfizer, Pharmaceutical Care Management Association, PWR, and Women Heart. Thank you to our friends at Aiken Gump for their big-hearted support of the Alliance. We have been a pro bono client of Aiken Gump for 10 years, and I cannot thank Todd Tootin and Heidi Bainrau enough. I also want to thank David Farber at King & Spalding for his generous pro bono expertise and shared enthusiasm to fight against MFN, change the CED process, ban the QALY, and tackle other DC acronyms in need of reform. Speaking of in-kind support, thank you to John White, Jonathan Lawhead, and their production colleagues at WebMD for producing the special Perennial Award Fireside Chat you will see in a little while. We are always deliberate in choosing our event themes for this event. For the 2021 Heroes in Health celebration, we chose Meaning, Love, and Healthy Aging. I have to admit, it wasn't until this past year with COVID-19, which I experienced in my own family, and we all experienced more broadly, that I felt at a deeper level the responsibility and meaning beyond what we do as an organization and in collaboration with our many incredible partners. There are many important aging and health issues my exceptional Alliance colleagues took on this past year, and I want to call out just a few. In early December, we launched the COVID-19 Vaccine Education and Equity Project with HealthyWomen and the National Caucus and Council on Black Aging to further inclusion and dialogue around what were, at the time, potential COVID-19 vaccines. Today, more than 164 million Americans are fully vaccinated, and the project includes more than 200 partner organizations that represent patients and family caregivers, diverse communities, healthcare workers, older adults, veterans, frontline workers, manufacturers, retail, and scientists who are all working to fight vaccine hesitancy and help end the pandemic. We've been passionate also about reducing out-of-pocket costs for the 45 million older adults and people with disabilities who receive their prescription drug coverage through Medicare Part D. The Alliance started Project Loop, lowering out-of-pocket costs, to urge Congress to pass an annual out-of-pocket cap in Part D and allow Medicare beneficiaries to smooth out-of-pocket costs out evenly over the benefit year. Most recently, the Alliance and 131 other organizations sent a letter to Congress advocating for these important changes. This past February, we observed the 5th anniversary of Heart Valve Disease Awareness Day, which takes place every year on February 22nd. Heart valve disease involves damage to one or more of the heart's valves, and 1 in 8 people aged 75 and older are estimated to have moderate to severe heart valve disease. The potential seriousness of the condition and the current lack of awareness are the reasons why the Alliance partners globally with more than 100 organizations on this inspiring and impactful campaign. The Alliance also co-convenes Project PAUSE, which stands for Psychoactive Appropriate Use for Safety and Effectiveness. It's a coalition with the American Society of Consultant Pharmacists, and our goal is simply to improve clinical care for nursing home residents living with neuropsychiatric symptoms of dementia. Dementia-related psychosis, agitation, depression, apathy, sleep issues, they're all common, but we just don't talk about these symptoms the way we do about memory loss, and we need to start doing it. To help, we've created 2 new films called Shake the Stigma of Neuropsychiatric Symptoms and the Other Symptoms of Alzheimer's Disease. Please check them out and share them. And we have continued to talk nerdy. Nerdy stands for Nurturing Engagement in Research and Development with You. It's our annual program that's been funded since 2017 by the Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute that teaches older adult patients and family caregivers how to use their personal experience to improve the medical research process. We now have more than 100 older adult patients and family caregivers who have gone through our training and are a part of our network. And the results are awesome. 86% of Talk Nerdy to Me alum have gone on to engage in at least one advisory activity, and almost 40% have participated in an average of 4 different activities. I am so proud of the people I get to work with every day. They are brave, super smart, passionate, and kind, each going through their own struggles this past year and channeling their energy toward making the world better than they found it for all of us as we age. All of what I just shared is from them and due to them, and I'm very lucky. One of my favorite books is a 1946 memoir by Viktor Frankl called Man's Search for Meaning. Frankl found that the single most important factor that allowed people to survive the experience of being in a concentration camp was having a meaningful goal. He stated that we had to learn that it didn't really matter what we expected from life, but rather what life expected from us. We needed to stop asking about the meaning of life and instead to think of ourselves as those who were being questioned by life daily and hourly. Our answer must consist not in talk and meditation, but in right action and in right conduct. Life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. That's the power of meaning. Happiness comes and goes, but when life is really good or when things are really bad, having meaning gives you something to hold on to. Studies show that people who have meaning in life are more resilient, do better in school and at work, and live longer. I am fortunate to love my job and work with people I admire and enjoy for a great cause, and what an important mission it's been, particularly over these last 2 years. In many ways, the responsibility I personally felt to do the work has been a great distraction from my own worries, and that's been a tremendous gift. Frankl goes on in his book about his experience being in a concentration camp to talk about love. And this to me is particularly relevant now. In so many ways, so many of the issues we work on, there is not just difference of opinion, but extreme divisiveness. The rush to judge, to refuse to see nuance, to decimate the other person's perspective is as disheartening as it is exhausting. Some groups bring a shallow form of belonging that lacks love. You're valued for what you believe or what you hate, but not for who you are. Even worse, the value of others' perspectives and even lives are seen as lesser simply because they may have a different opinion or worldview. So this is what Frankl says on love. Love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. No one can become fully aware of the very essence of another human being unless he loves him. Our lives can at times be disconnected and they can be very lonely. And the losses that collect as we age may magnify these feelings. But love can redeem us from loneliness by teaching us to see our neighbors as ourselves, to be aware of their humanity, their fears and feelings, instead of only being aware of our own. Healthy aging, our final theme that anchors what we do at the Alliance, encompasses many things. We believe everyone should be able to experience healthy aging. Being free of disease or disability is not a requirement. Supporting healthy aging means supporting research and social structures that enhance independence, dignity, and helpful environments. It means recognizing that there is no typical older person, and policies need to be framed to improve the functional abilities of everyone. And last, it's the recognition that a large proportion, about 75% of the range in capacity and circumstances for older adults is the result of the cumulative impact of advantage and disadvantage across people's lives. Our experiences with aging are shaped by factors such as the family we're born into, our sex, our race and ethnicity, and our level of education and financial resource. We can't do impactful work in aging and health without recognizing and addressing the disparities that exist within it. A couple of months ago, I saw a meme on social media about age and how we should refer to our age in levels, like a video game. Because when you say you're level 80, it sounds a lot more badass than just being an old person. So I'm now level 53, and I have a lot more to learn and accomplish for others. Thank you so much for the privilege. On behalf of the Alliance for Aging Research, thank you again for tuning into our virtual Heroes in Health. We're honored to have you join us for this important celebration, and I hope you enjoy the rest of today's program.
Our next award presenter of the afternoon is the Alliance's long-term supporter and dear friend, Tom Spulik, Chairman and President of the Claude Pepper Foundation, who's here to present the Claude Pepper Award for Advancing Healthy Aging. Tom will tell us more about this important award, named for the Honorable Claude Pepper, who fought tirelessly in both the U.S. Senate and House of Representatives to help those in need, including our nation elderly. In his day job, Tom is partner in the prestigious law firm King & Spalding and chairs its government advocacy and public policy group in Washington, D.C. Tom also serves as an adjunct professor at the Florida State University College of Law. And before entering private practice, Tom served as staff director and general counsel of the House Committee on Rules, as well as general counsel to the U.S. House of Representatives. As impressive as Tom's professional background is, I'm always in awe at his commitment, his passion, and the amount of time he devotes in the service of nonprofit organizations. In addition to serving as chairman and president of the Claude Pepper Foundation, he's also chairman of the Hospice Foundation of America and is a board member of the Close Up Foundation. Tom and the Claude Pepper Foundation have been incredible friends to the Alliance, and we thank the foundation for once again supporting this year's Claude Pepper Award for Advancing Healthy Aging. So please give me a big welcome for Tom.
Hi, everyone. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce the recipient of this year's Alliance for Aging Research Claude Pepper Award for Advancing Healthy Aging. This award was established to honor a Democratic member of Congress who is leading the way for policies encouraging medical research, innovation, and care to benefit Americans as they grow older. Supported by the Claude Pepper Foundation, this award is named for the Honorable Claude Pepper, who fought tirelessly in both the U.S. House and the Senate to help those in need, both in terms of health care and as a supporter of key civil rights legislation during the 1960s. As chair of the House Select Committee on Aging, and later the Committee on Rules, he sought to strengthen programs for older, adult, and disabled Americans, including Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Through the Claude Pepper Foundation, its center, and related policy arms, the Congressman's legacy lives on and is dedicated to research on aging, alternatives to long-term care, and other issues. This year's recipient of the Claude Pepper Award is Senator Chris Van Hollen. Senator Van Hollen started his time in public service as a member of the Maryland State Legislature, where he became known as a tenacious advocate for Marylanders and someone who was unafraid to take on powerful special interests on behalf of working people. In 2002, he was elected to represent Maryland's 8th Congressional District. In the House of Representatives, Congressman Van Hollen served as a member of the Democratic leadership and was elected by his colleagues to be the ranking member of the House Budget Committee, where he fought to protect Social Security, Medicare, and other vital interests. A tireless advocate for the people of Maryland, Senator Van Hollen has also become known for working hard to find common sense solutions to difficult national issues. In January of 2015, he released a comprehensive plan to address the problem of growing inequality in America and provide a blueprint to build an economy that works for everyone, a goal he has continued to fight for in the U.S. Senate. The Alliance extends its gratitude to Senator Van Hollen for his leadership on passage of the American Rescue Plan, which added substantial funding for the Older Americans Act, the Elder Justice Act, and provided much needed support for nursing facilities to improve vaccination rollout and infection control. We applaud his passionate advocacy to address COVID-19 vaccine equity issues for people with disabilities and communities of color, and his efforts to combat COVID-19 disinformation and protect trust in our nation's regulatory approval processes. The Alliance joins Senator Van Hollen in supporting the administration's American Jobs Plan and Americans' Families Plan. These proposals include landmark proposals for home and community-based services and paid leave that would improve the lives of millions of older Americans and their family caregivers. Lastly, we salute your long-standing, successful advocacy for substantial funding increases at the National Institutes of Health, including the National Institute on Aging. These investments give hope to millions of older adults living with Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and heart failure that there may one day be cures. Senator Van Hollen, it is an honor to be with you today and to present you with the Claude Pepper Award for Advancing Healthy Aging.
Well, Tom, thank you for that very warm introduction and your kind words. Most of all, thank you for your leadership at the Claude Pepper Foundation, and to you and other members of the board and to President Sue Peshin and the entire Alliance for Aging Research family for what you do every day for older Americans, for advancing critical medical research. And I'm honored to receive an award in the name of Claude Pepper. and thank you and the Alliance for all the good work that you do in his name.
Thank you so much, Senator. So given your current leadership on promoting policies that encourage wider access to COVID-19 vaccines for people with disabilities and communities of color, what do you think are some of the barriers that need to be addressed to improve health equity as we age?
Well, certainly COVID-19 and the pandemic exposed lots of fault lines within our society. It clearly impacted communities of color, disability community, and of course, aging Americans were most vulnerable of all to COVID-19. And so we really have to learn some lessons. In the short term, I was pleased to support and really fight for the American Rescue Plan. You mentioned some of the provisions of that plan. Other provisions included a dramatic increase in vaccine production and distribution so that we could get more of the vaccine through community health centers to underserved populations. And another big part of the Build Back Better agenda is to provide for community-based home healthcare opportunities to give our aging Americans, older Americans, alternatives to institutions. So those are a couple things. The last thing I will mention is something that you're all very involved with Alliance, which is boosting our investment in medical research. And I am pleased that we are going to significantly boost the budget at the NIH, and also had a chance to meet with the president and other bipartisan members of the House and the Senate months ago to discuss the ARPA-H plan. This is President Biden's vision to also just deploy more resources and get more cures and treatments to the American people more quickly. So thank you all for your efforts in that regard. These are some of the lessons I think we all learned during this pandemic.
Senator, if we're fortunate, we get to live long lives and experience the joys and changes that come along with that. What have you learned from your parents and other family members about healthy aging, and how has that impacted your life?
Well, my parents were great role models in that regard. They remained active and engaged. And so my view is that older Americans are really probably our greatest untapped resource. First of all, we need to make sure that we defeat ageism and age discrimination. People should be able to work and thrive in the workplace for so long as they choose. And after people retire, we need to put their talents to use for those that are interested in remaining engaged. And I find that's true virtually of everybody. And I've been very active, for example, in the state of Maryland, supporting organizations like Inner Ages, which tries to, partner older Americans with their wisdom and experience with younger people, whether it's through tutoring or mentoring or whatever it may be. Thank all of you who are part of making sure that we have a society that recognizes the continuing important contributions of older Americans.
Well, thank you, Senator, for your efforts. Claude Pepper once said, the mistake a lot of politicians make is in forgetting that they've been appointed and thinking they've been anointed. Now, that does not apply to you. You're trying to bring back compromise that so many people think is no longer evident in our Congress. But how are you successful at bridging different parties and different philosophies, and while others aren't?
Well, I think Claude Pepper identified a huge potential job hazard for members of Congress. I am pleased to say that between my family and my constituents, they keep my feet firmly planted on the ground. I am pleased over my years in the House and the Senate to have been able to forge bipartisan agreements on things like increasing our investment in critical medical research, like helping families who have kids with disabilities or other family members with disabilities. So we can all have our disagreements. That's part of a healthy democracy. But I do try to look for opportunities for common ground.
I think you succeed. Well, all of Maryland and certainly all of the nation is very privileged and better off having you in the Senate. So please keep it up. Really appreciate everything that you're doing. Congratulations on this much deserved award. We wish you the best in your work going ahead. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your past service in the House with Claude Pepper and your continuing service in this new capacity. And again, to the entire team at the Alliance for Aging Research.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations again to Senator Van Hollen. Here to present the Alliance's Distinguished Public Service Award to Congressman Brett Guthrie is Shannon Stahauer, Senior Director of Federal Government Affairs at Eli Lilly and Company. Prior to joining Lilly, Shannon was Senior Director at the biopharmaceutical industry's leading trade group, Pharma, and spent a number of years working on Capitol Hill for North Dakota Senior U.S. Senator John Hoeven and Congressman Mike Rogers of Michigan, former chairman of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Before I turn it over to Shannon, we really want to express our gratitude to Eli Lilly and Company for their generously underwriting the Distinguished Public Service Award. So Shannon, you're up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Stahauer with Eli Lilly and Company, and I'm happy to present the 2021 Alliance for Aging Research Distinguished Public Service Award, which is given every year to a Republican member of Congress who is leading the way on policies encouraging medical research, innovation, and care to benefit Americans as they grow older. This year's honors Congressman Brett Guthrie, who is representing Kentucky's 2nd Congressional District since 2008. Representative Guthrie serves on the House Energy and Commerce Committee and is the top Republican member on the House Energy and Commerce Health Subcommittee. The Alliance supports many of the healthcare issues that Congressman Guthrie has championed, including his work to promote COVID-19 vaccines and debunking dangerous anti-vaccine information. Representative Guthrie has also provided leadership to improve Alzheimer's detection and care with the passage of the Bold Infrastructure for Alzheimer's Act and introduction of the Improving Hope for Alzheimer's Act. We are so grateful for Congressman Guthrie for his continuing commitment to place an out-of-pocket cap on Medicare Part D costs, and for his thought leadership on creating a mechanism to smooth these costs evenly through the course of the year so that patients can access and remain on the treatments that they are today. Medicare is the only major insurer in the United States that lacks an out-of-pocket maximum, and the impact on these proposals would be monumental for older Americans. Congressman Guthrie has also guided bipartisan efforts to improve access to evidence-based treatments of opioid use disorder and supported allowing pharmacists to deliver services such as blood pressure screenings, diabetes management, and immunizations services to medically underserved areas. These practical, real-world health policies demonstrate why Congressman Guthrie was appointed to co-lead the Healthy Future Task Force to form a solutions-based healthcare agenda. We are, of course, also thankful to Congressman Guthrie for his military service. After graduating from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, he went on to serve as a field artillery officer in the 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault at Fort Campbell. But his most important accomplishment in life is no doubt being married to the former Beth Clemens, father to Caroline, Robbie, and Elizabeth, and grandfather to his first granddaughter, Rowan, who was born last May. Congressman Guthrie, it's wonderful to be with you today and to present the Distinguished Public Service Award to you. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. And hello to everybody with the Alliance for Aging Research. I'm glad that you're all coming together to celebrate the great accomplishments you do in doing research and promoting research for older Americans and really for all Americans, because we're all going to become older Americans someday, and we're dealing with parents. Some of us are dealing with parents with their older Americans, so it really benefits us all. And thanks to CEO Susan Peshin and to your board and all the staff and all the people that are here together. And thanks, Shannon. Thank you for introducing me, and thank you for this award. And I look forward to our discussion.
Of course. And I'd like to ask you a few questions regarding the work that you're being recognized for today. Given your leadership on promoting policies that encourage medical innovations into conditions such as Alzheimer's disease and improving care for aging Americans, What do you think are some of the most pressing issues facing aging Americans today?
Well, thank you so much for that. What's really excited me about my service and being on the committee is the innovation in healthcare. It's absolutely phenomenal, and particularly in aging services and Alzheimer's. When I was a kid, my grandmother's brother had Alzheimer's. So that's always kind of been in the back of my mind too. So the great thing about Congress is we're really are the American people. I mean, a lot of people want to say Congress is this, that, or the other, and we have our moments being this, that, or the other. But we're really just made up of the American people, and we all have these experiences. And so that experience, my wife's grandfather had Alzheimer's, and so seeing a family have to deal with that, trying to save the farm while dealing with someone of that level, it got me into this. So the BOLD Act, which was trying to focus on making sure we had healthcare infrastructure for Alzheimer's, the HOPE Act that our healthcare providers are aware. A lot of times you don't know how to deal with people with dementia, that HHS educates our providers on how to deal with dementia. We're looking at other things moving forward. I've met with President Biden. He's on the cancer research. I was in the Oval Office for one of the meetings on the ARPA-H, or the moonshot for cancer research. And as we move forward, the Brain Research Project, NIH, should be part of ARPA-H. And we'll see how that proposal goes forward. But I think that's important. We're trying to figure out how we make it work, and given some of the things going on in Washington now. But we want to make sure that we do, because I've seen it, solve this problem. When I'm 84 years old, I believe that's when all the baby boomers are going to be at the age of where a vast number of people are going to be on with Alzheimer's as we get older, if we don't have a change in trajectory. And we're going to spend over $1 trillion a year of government money, taxpayer money, just dealing with people with Alzheimer's if we don't change the trajectory. So that's been my mission. One, first and foremost, the patients, the families, but also the future of our children being able to afford a government.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your personal story and your commitment. It's really critical for aging Americans today. So thank you again. I also wanted to ask you about your work on making improvements to the Part D benefit. Could you tell us a little more about how creating an out-of-pocket cap and smoothing mechanism in the Part D program would benefit older Americans today?
Yeah, that's one of the things I wish we could get done. I remember meeting with President Trump then and talking about, as we could do everything we wanted to do in prescription drug benefit, let's do Medicare Part D. We really couldn't get the House to, even though it's a bipartisan issue, both Democrats and Republicans support it. There seems to be a larger desire to do, instead of sometimes things get caught up, we can fix some things in health and pharmaceutical pricing. And they say, well, we're going to wait till we do something big. And it is big. Everybody over 65 years old is on Medicare. And so it's every American over 65. So this isn't a small thing. And the two things that the Medicare Part D, which is a great benefit, but the things that the one thing that it doesn't really have that most plans have is a cap on out-of-pocket costs. And so we actually have paid for it. So we have the ability to move this forward. And the other one is, you hear from a lot of people, particularly with expensive medicines, that they immediately have to pay, several $1,000s in January because they have deductibles. I think there still should be deductibles. We should have programs for people who can't afford their medicine. Yeah. But people like my father, who's retired and has the ability, should have deductibles. They should have some skin in the game. But sometimes it's hard to come up with all the money at once. So one, we want out-of-pocket caps. Two is to smooth the deductible so you can pay it over a year. So you're not paying $2,000 in January. You may pay a couple $100s a month every month to smooth your deductible.
Absolutely. And thanks so much for championing that important issue. And, hopefully given the bipartisan support, we'll be able to move that along here shortly. And then lastly, I wanted to circle back on a more personal question. And you shared a little bit about your family's experience with Alzheimer's, but what have you learned from your own family about healthy aging? And are there any tips that you impart today to practice healthy aging yourself?
Since I'm becoming one of the aging, I'm trying to practice those ourselves. It's everything. You have to exercise, eat well. I mean, I don't eat perfect. I'm not going to claim that. I think we're here in Washington, D.C. and having late night votes, so I had more pieces of pizza than I needed. And I think you can do those things on occasion. I don't think you have to be a fuddy-duddy and not enjoy anything, but everything within reason. And so eat well. I'm trying to eat fresh vegetables. Fresh fruit is one of the things I try to do. I'm not saying I didn't have too much pizza on occasion, but then exercise, try to walk. We have a couple of rescue dogs. My wife is really involved in rescue dogs. So we have a 2 and then we have access to 4 because my daughter has 2. So we're usually out walking them, moving them around. But I think really important to get with the thing that we're talking about is keeping your mind exercised. When you're older, read, find something you're interested in. I'm not a crossword puzzle person. That's just never been my thing. That's just what I suggest. It's to eat well, to exercise, and to exercise your mind as well as your body.
Absolutely. Completely agree. And those are small practical tips that we can all benefit from. But thank you so much for your time today, Congressman Guthrie, and congratulations on this much deserved award. We appreciate all that you do to champion these issues for aging Americans.
I appreciate the award. It means a lot. And of course, we don't do these for awards, but it doesn't normally make the news when Washington's working. It makes the news when it's not. But I just want people in the alliance to know that there are members of Congress that are here trying to get things done. And I do think we're going to have a breakthrough. I don't have any insight because I don't know. I don't have any inside information. But I do believe just from everything that I see looking at NIH that I think there's going to be a breakthrough moving forward.
Absolutely. We could all benefit from that. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Guthrie. We are all so grateful for your dedicated public service. Our next presenter is Deshawn Dorsey. Deshawn is the Executive Director of AdvaMed-SL, a division within the Advanced Medical Technology Association, which most people know as AdvaMed. She also leads the organization's work around racial health disparities. Prior to assuming her current role, Deshawn was Vice President in the Payment and Healthcare Delivery Department at AdvaMed. And prior to joining AdvaMed, Deshawn was the Director of Health Policy for the American Academy of Ophthalmology. And before that, she was Senior Counsel with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Counsel to the Inspector General, where she worked as a litigator on a variety of fraud and abuse issues. The Alliance is grateful to AdvaMed for its support of the Silver Innovator Award. Please join me in welcoming Deshawn as she honors the groundbreaking work of Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, our 2021 Silver Innovator Award honoree.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deshawn Dorsey, Executive Director of AdvaMed-SL at AdvaMed, and I'm honored to join you tonight to present the 2021 Alliance for Aging Research Silver Innovator Award to Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, the Schuster Assistant Professor at the Harvard-Radcliffe Institute and Assistant Professor of Immunology and Infectious Diseases at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, and Associate Member of the Philip T. and Susan M. Reagan Institute. Dr. Corbett joined Harvard following 6 years as a research fellow and scientific lead for the coronavirus team at the NIH National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Vaccine Research Center. The Silver Innovator Award is given each year to an individual who shows exceptional dedication to anticipating, embracing, and addressing the unique and ever-evolving needs of older adults. This year's award honors Dr. Corbett for her tireless work as the scientific lead of the Vaccine Research Center's coronavirus team at the National Institutes of Health, where her years of research led to a major discovery that a stabilized version of a spike protein found on the surface of all coronaviruses can be a key target for vaccines, treatments, and diagnostics. It was Dr. Corbett's work that was central to the development of the mRNA vaccine and the therapeutic monoclonal antibody that were first to enter clinical trials in the United States and, as a result, saved countless lives. Dr. Corbett uses her viral immunology expertise to drive novel vaccine development for pandemic preparedness, like the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. Her portfolio also includes universal coronavirus and influenza concepts and novel therapeutic antibodies. Dr. Corbett has over 15 years of experience studying dengue virus, respiratory syncytial virus, more commonly known as RSV, influenza virus, and coronaviruses, garnering prestigious awards along the way, such as the Benjamin Franklin Next Gen Award and the Salzman Memorial Award in Virology. And as if these major contributions to public health weren't enough, Dr. Corbett spends her free time countering vaccine hesitancy among communities of color. In a December 2020 survey by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 46% of Black Americans said they would probably not get vaccinated against the coronavirus SARS-CoV-2, compared with 30% of white respondents. Those who were hesitant cited worries about side effects and the speed at which the vaccines were developed, and for good reason. The infamous syphilis studies in Tuskegee, Alabama, where doctors withheld treatment from hundreds of Black men from the 1930s through the 1970s, is not a distant memory. But Dr. Corbett is committed to encouraging communities of color to get the vaccine by eradicating fear of the unknown. And how? She makes the science easily digestible, relatable, and meets her audiences in their own homes, so to speak. Dr. Corbett zooms into church functions, community gatherings and meetings, chats with strangers on her social media channels, and much more, all to demystify the science behind the pandemic and the importance of life-saving vaccines, and has undoubtedly increased the vaccination rate in the United States as a result. I have shared a lot of information about Dr. Corbett, but nothing illustrates her true impact more than her own words. Please indulge me as I read a quote from Dr. Corbett from a recent Nature article. I have studied health disparities since I was in college. I'm a double major in sociology. I understand the intricate interlacing of science and health, particularly for disparities and particularly for people of color. So it's near and dear to my heart. It's actually the reason vaccine development is important to me and is where I chose to take my viral immunology career. Vaccines have the potential to be the equalizer of health disparities, especially around infectious diseases. I could never sleep at night if I developed anything, if any product of my science came out and it did not equally benefit the people that look like me, period. Thank you, Dr. Corbett, for all you have done to save millions of lives and future generations to come. It's an honor to present you with the Alliance's Silver Innovator Award. Congratulations.
We're also fortunate to have such innovators like Dr. Corbett working on cures for tomorrow. Our next presenter is the founder of the Alliance for Aging Research, an Alliance board member, and my longtime personal friend, Dan Perry. Daniel Perry founded the Alliance for Aging Research in Washington, D.C. in 1986. The Alliance soon became the leading U.S. citizen advocacy organization for promoting a broad agenda of medical and scientific research to improve the health and independence of older people. Dan retired in 2015, but fortunately he now serves the Alliance as both founder and a member of the board of directors. In 2016, this award was named the Daniel Perry Founders Award in honor of Dan's invaluable contributions of aging research. Dan, I'm going to turn this over to you to present this prestigious award to the Navajo Nation in recognition of their exceptional leadership during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Dan?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dan Perry, the founder of the Alliance for Aging Research and a current board member. I am very pleased to be presenting the Founders Award of the Alliance for Aging Research. It is my great pleasure today to be joined by two very special people to receive this very special award. Jonathan Nez was inaugurated in 2019 as president of the Navajo Nation, and at age 43, he is the youngest person ever to hold that title. He also was invited to co-present the inaugural address at the Democratic National Convention in 2020. Dr. Jill Jim, Executive Director of the Navajo Department of Health, has a doctorate in public health and 2 master's degrees from the University of Utah. And during the presidential transition last year, she was selected to be a special advisor on COVID-19. The Navajo Nation, with some 300,000 members, is the largest Native American tribe in the United States. It covers some 27,000 square miles across 3 states. And early in the pandemic, the Navajo Nation had the highest per capita rate of new infections in the entire country. That's where President Nez and Dr. Jim went to work. They imposed strict mitigation strategies across the Navajo Nation. This included mask and social distancing. They put limits on outside visitors, even closing all the roads into the Navajo Nation and the businesses to outside visitors. Despite the economic impact this would have, it was a necessary move that they took with boldness on behalf of protecting their people. Then, when vaccines became available in December of last year, President Nez and Dr. Jim provided the kind of leadership that encouraged vast numbers of Navajo people to reach out and become vaccinated. They now stand at over 70% of their population fully vaccinated. This successful vaccine drive was embraced by the people after a painful year in which nearly 1,400 of the Navajo people perished from the COVID disease. President Nez and Dr. Jim, all of us at the Alliance for Aging Research, admire and respect the Navajo Nation community, and it is our pleasure and privilege to honor you with the Founders Award for your sterling leadership at a time of great public health crisis.
On behalf of the Navajo Nation, the Navajo Department of Health, Dr. Jill Jim, and the Navajo people, we are honored to accept the Alliance for Aging Research 2021 Daniel Perry Founders Award. Thank you, Dan, for inviting us to be part of the fireside chat today.
President Nez, I understand that part of the way you rallied the support of your people was by drawing upon traditional stories of the Navajo people who have faced hardships and threats from outside in the past. Can you talk a little bit more about how you framed that in terms of the coronavirus and COVID-19?
One of those teachings that we have on the Navajo Nation is about the hero twins. The hero twins came to the Navajo Nation at the beginning of our people to fight off monsters. And at that time, monsters like old age, hunger, poverty, lice were prevalent. Today, we have modern day monsters as well. You got suicide, alcoholism and drug addiction, PTSD, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, cancer. And you also have this new monster that has come onto our nation called COVID-19. Of course, if you're in a fight, you have to have the armor and the weapons to fight off these monsters. And those weapons are using face masks and also hand sanitizers. The armor is the vaccine. And so by framing it, utilizing our way of life teaching with the help of our elders and our frontline warriors, we were able to push back on COVID-19.
Well, that's really quite inspiring. Dr. Jim, as a public health leader, you know that much of the rest of the United States has struggled with acceptance of the COVID-19 vaccine. How has the values and the culture of the Navajo people helped you to have your people rise to a level of acceptance of that vaccine so far beyond the rest of the country?
Well, thank you, Dan, for that question. The Navajo Nation participated in a clinical trial with the Pfizer vaccine early on. And with President Nez's support, we were able to get the Pfizer CEO as well as Dr. Fauci on our town hall meetings here. So I think there is just a lot of transparency and using today's tools such as technology to convey information. I believe there was just that sort of messaging and also coordination here on the Navajo Nation.
Well, the success of 70% full vaccination is a testament to your leadership, that of President Nez, and the communication strategies that you put in place. So, President Nez, elders, I understand, are seen as the gateway to the history and the culture and the traditions of the Navajo people, and yet, during the terrible losses early in the pandemic, a great number of elders perished. Can you talk a bit about the impact that that's now had on the Navajo Nation?
We've lost over 1,300 of our Navajo citizens, and our thoughts and prayers go out to those families. And we are also recognizing that 2/3 of the 1,300 plus people we've lost were our elders. And, they took much of our teaching, some of our teaching with them as well. But we did challenge our Navajo citizens throughout this pandemic to also teach at home, because our schools were closed, our students were doing classes at home. And much of our Navajo citizens took up that challenge. And I've heard stories that from our young people that many of them were very grateful that their family members were able to share with them their family stories and the Navajo history with one another, and also to hand down our language. But it was just like all throughout the country, that most vulnerable population were our elders and those that had health issues. And we did our very best to protect them. And we do have our own Navajo doctors and physicians who were speaking directly to the elders in our own language. And I think that was one of the reasons why we brought confidence to the vaccine. And as was noted, over 70% of our Navajo people have been fully vaccinated.
The COVID-19 emergency has obviously exposed some shortcomings across our healthcare delivery system throughout the United States. And I'm sure it has exposed some areas within Native American communities in terms of healthcare delivery where there needs to be greater investment. And Dr. Jim, I wonder if you can speak to that, about some of the plans that you may have going forward to address those needs in your community.
I think that the shortcomings of what we experienced here on Navajo early on just really didn't really as much also relate to healthcare systems, but just the basic infrastructure here, basic sanitation and running water and electricity. We have more remote and rural communities, and healthcare access could be hours away just to go to the emergency. Not only is an individual's inability to survive and live a healthy life, but the healthcare system is inadequately funded. And on the Navajo Nation, the priorities have been to have enough healthcare facilities and inpatient beds and hospital beds. And the only reasons why we survived in the first round is through volunteer organizations for medical staffing to come to the Navajo Nation when we didn't have access to resources. But the second surge, we really relied on federal medical staffing. So staffing is definitely an issue before the pandemic. And I know President Nez has mentioned that in this administration, to encourage our youth to go and receive medical degrees, nursing degrees, sort of those highly needed professions here to maintain and sustain our healthcare systems. But the very immediate need is just enough funding to make enough hospitals and fix those outdated hospitals.
Well, I have no doubt that you will address those shortcomings and will gain the support of your people to get the job done, even as you have rallied them to embrace the right public health strategies in this terrible emergency. I want to thank you both, President Nez, Dr. Jim. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for your leadership and for your very hard work. And thank you for letting our viewers see that beautiful background that is behind you at Window Rock on the Navajo Nation. Congratulations, both. You are very deserving honorees of the Founders Award.
Congratulations again to the Navajo Nation for your outstanding leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic. It truly was inspiring. Our next presenter is Dr. John White, Chief Medical Officer for WebMD, who will be presenting the 2021 Perennial Hero Award. Dr. Laura Carstensen, the founding director of the Stanford Center on Longevity, wrote about this new term, perennial, in the Washington Post, saying, "The symbolism it connotes is perfect. For one, perennials make clear that we're still here, blossoming again and again. It also suggests a new model of life in which people engage and take breaks, making new starts repeatedly. Perennials aren't guaranteed to blossom year after year, but given proper conditions, good soil and nutrients, they can go on for decades. It's aspirational." Dr. White, as Jim mentioned earlier, the Alliance is so happy to have you join the board of directors and to present our final award of the program, the 2021 Perennial Hero Award to Phyllis Greenberger.
Hi everyone, I'm John White, and I'm happy to present this year's Perennial Hero Award to Phyllis Greenberger for her inspiring career as a national leader in women's health, a highly regarded expert in policy analysis and advocacy, and her personal journey as a family caregiver and Alzheimer's disease research advocate. Phyllis started her career as a social worker when she had 3 children under the age of 6, while her husband Bob traveled the globe covering foreign policy for the Wall Street Journal. When she started working at the American Psychiatric Association, Phyllis noticed that they were doing nothing on women's mental health issues, and she promptly pointed it out. That's not surprising to any of you that know Phyllis. In 1993, Phyllis became the first president and CEO of the Society for Women's Health Research, a Washington, D.C.-based advocacy organization formed to improve the health of women through research. Under Phyllis's leadership, the Society was the driving force behind the NIH 1993 Revitalization Act, which directed the NIH to establish guidelines for inclusion of women and minorities in clinical research. It also provided guidance on reporting sex, racial, and ethnic differences in health outcomes for Phase 3 trials. After years of continued activism, in 2011, the NIH guidelines were expanded to include women in Phase 1 and 2, where safety, toxicity, and dosage are determined. And basic research was also finally added. It seems obvious now that of course women should be included, but not all researchers believed that, and Phyllis worked tirelessly to change their minds. Phyllis also persevered for years with a proposal to the Institute of Medicine to validate the concept of sex differences. In 2001, the Institute of Medicine released the groundbreaking report exploring the biological contributions to human health, Does Sex Matter?, that called on researchers to understand the implications of basic biological sex differences for the betterment of human health, men and women. I met Phyllis when I first came to DC in 1999 to work at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. I was tasked with staffing the newly created Medicare Coverage Advisory Committee with a public member. Phyllis's name came up. I interviewed her. I was impressed with her intelligence, her advocacy, and her wit. I selected her to be on the committee, and we've been friends ever since. While I was at FDA, Phyllis helped us create the Drug Trial Snapshots program to provide safety and effectiveness data by sex, age, race, and ethnicity of clinical participants for recently approved drugs. She insisted there be transparency, and it has made a monumental difference. Currently, Phyllis serves as HealthyWomen's Senior Vice President for Science and Health Policy, where she directs efforts to address women's unique health disparities across the healthcare continuum. As a family caregiver to her husband, Bob, Phyllis has also become an advisor to the Alliance's Talk Nerdy program and Accelerate Cure and Treatments for Alzheimer's Disease Coalition. Phyllis, it's wonderful to be with you today, and I can think of no one more deserving of the Perennial Health Hero Award than you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's quite an introduction. I really appreciate it. And I love the fact that you, as a friend of mine since 1999, are presenting it. And I want to thank Sue Peshin, the CEO of the Alliance for Aging Research, for giving me this award. And I love working with the Alliance, and I love the work that they're doing on ACT-AG to promote research in Alzheimer's for obvious reasons.
Well, we have this beautiful award,
yes,
but we're also in this beautiful room. We're in your home.
Thank
but I want to ask you, you've worked on this issue of sex differences for nearly 40 years.
Yeah,
and what has the science changed? Has people's attitude changed? How did we finally come to this recognition that women may respond differently to drugs, devices, and other therapeutics? We typically thought of women, to be honest, as little men, and you changed that. So was it the science? Was it the attitude? How did it happen?
Well, it was the science, but there were instances where it was obvious or became obvious once people looked. One of the issues was a heart medication that resulted in heart failure for women that obviously did not have that effect on men. And then years later, there was research on Ambien and how it affected women differently. For many years, aside from the fact that they thought women and men were basically the same except for their reproductive organs, they also thought in terms of alcoholism or other issues that because women were smaller, that they would succumb, let's say, more quickly to being inebriated, when in fact it had more to do with metabolism, not to do with their size. And it also, of course, because of finally the noticeable differences in terms of the medications, people started taking notice. But I think what's interesting to me now in this day and time is that the COVID experience has really brought to the fore the importance not only of clinical trials and also an education in clinical trials, which at the time I started, and we did a video on it, asking people on the street what a clinical trial was, and nobody knew what one was. I think people know what a clinical trial is now. And I think I'm always sort of amused when I see that there's a difference between men and women and the vaccine works differently, and that Black women or Asian women have different responses. And it just, it's, to me, it's sort of, great, finally we're here. But we still have a long way to go.
What are the issues that you see that are facing women as they age? What are those typical health issues that we haven't addressed enough?
Well, obviously heart issues. I mean, I remember that, this is hard to believe, but that I had meetings with the American Heart Association convincing them that women had heart disease. Do you remember the time when they advised men not to shovel snow because they would have a heart attack, but nobody said anything about, women don't shovel the snow. And then you still have a certain amount of, and this goes back centuries, of sort of women not being believed. Pain is another issue where men and women suffer pain differently, and women are pretty much brushed off, told that it's in their heads and go see a psychiatrist. So I think, but the more we learn, the more we know that there are differences, muscular differences. I was on a device board years ago also, when all hips and knees were all based on men's anatomy, and it didn't occur to people that women's hips and knees were different. So there was a lot.
It's a good point, because people didn't think about women when they were designing trials, designing devices, seeing the effect of drugs, and you helped change that. And it wasn't easy. I think we should acknowledge that. It seems obvious now that that's the case. So I want to ask you, what's your advice for young women that are coming in to leadership roles?
Well, I think you have to really persevere, and you have to not just don't take no for an answer. I was really, don't ask me why, because I was known when my younger years as being kind of shy. I don't know.
I can't imagine you as shy.
I can't imagine either. I sort of came out of that, I guess. But there were a lot of instances. I mean, even at the APA, when I started working there as an intern, as part of my social work, I was only working there 3 days a week. And when an opening opened up, and I went to get the job, I remember being interviewed by the CEO, and he said, well, you're only here 3 days a week. And I said to him, I can do in 3 days what somebody else can do in 5. And years later, he said to me, that's why he hired me. And then I know, I don't know if you spoke with at the Institute of Medicine, that was also a real push. And then, of course, Congress. I mean, you know, you just have to keep doing it, and it took a long time. And it's not over yet, as I said. I mean, there's still a lot that we don't know. There's still work to be done.
I've listed your professional career, but here we are in your home. We're surrounded by this beautiful artwork that you have created. There's a book on the coffee table that profiles you as an artist, not necessarily as a women's health research advocate. But you're also at a point in your life where you're serving as an advocate for your husband, as a caregiver. How has that changed your perspective about the need for advocacy and the need for research, particularly in Alzheimer's disease?
Well, obviously in Alzheimer's disease, you know, I'm nervous about my family. I think the spread of it, I mean, the good news is that we're all living longer, and the bad news is that because people are living longer, they're more prone to get Alzheimer's or other kinds of dementia. I'm concerned now with COVID and how it's affecting people's brains and what's that going to mean in the future. So I think there's a lot of things to be concerned about. And the painting, which is interesting, it takes my mind off it, off that, and just, I guess, other parts of my life. It's just, I find it's, because it's with you. I mean, my husband's with me all the time, and the hurt and the loneliness. But once I start painting, I can sort of compartmentalize and move that away. So, so I've been doing a lot of painting.
Well, Phyllis, congratulations again on the Perennial Hero Award. As I said at the beginning, there is no one more deserving.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thank you for the aging research, and thank you to Sue Peshin, and it's really been a pleasure. I hope to continue even into my older age. Thank you.
Congratulations, Phyllis. I've had the honor of knowing and working with you for many years. I can't think of a more deserving person for the Perennial Hero Award than you. So on behalf of myself and everyone in this room and those that are watching and the entire Alliance, congratulations. Congratulations again to our 2021 honorees, and congratulations to the Alliance for 35 years of influential work that continues to improve the universal human experience of aging and health. Now, to learn more about the Alliance projects, we encourage you to visit www.agingresearch.org. And to support the Alliance's ongoing efforts or to commemorate this organization's 35th anniversary, it would be wonderful and so much appreciated if you could make a fully tax-deductible contribution by clicking the Donate Now button at the top right corner of your screen. Thank you so much again for your generosity and all that you do on behalf of the Alliance. But before we conclude, we owe a big thanks to someone who's not referenced in the program. Her name is Sue Peshin, President and CEO of the Alliance for Aging Research. Sue has been the driving force in the growth and success of the Alliance, from raising awareness of critical issues to developing unique, effective programs such as Talk Nerdy to Me. We're all indebted to Sue for her leadership, her passion, and commitment to accelerate the pace of scientific discovery of aging and health. So now to all of you, thank you so much for joining us at this virtual Heroes in Health annual celebration and for all your generous long-term support for the Alliance for Aging Research. We thank you. We wish you all a safe and healthy remainder of 2021. Be well.